my friend, and welcome to the study today. I have the window open, as I do most days, but especially in the spring now, because you can hear all the birds returning. You can hear the fountain outside, and maybe a few unfortunate buzzing of power tools, but hopefully we'll just ignore that because it's so nice to be in spring. It's hard to believe another month has come and gone. It's time for our April patron names. And since all the colours coming back to the countryside, I thought I'd do some watercolours for you. It's something that really relaxes me to watch water flowing, whether it's in a pond, a lake, or the sea, or a river, or just watching the water colours flow together and mix on the page. So let's watch some of these colours flow around and together on this watercolour paper. See how they swirl. Can even make them swirl a little bit more, because I'm going to put a stem down here for the leaves of this plant. Look at that. Dropping colours. Beautiful colours that mix together. Now we can let that dry. And as that dries, let's read something interesting for spring. One of the artists who has often inspired me is Tove Jansson, and we've seen her before in the study in the Artists and Illustrators series, and there's a link I'll put to her video here in the study. imagination, and she uses bright colours to illustrate characters and scenes. In this one, called Finn Family Moomintroll, we are introduced to the Moomins. And there's our map of Moomin Valley. The sea, the Hattifatner's Island, the cave, the pier with the boat, Moomin House, and a floor plan of the house, and the lonely mountains. And there's one of my favorite illustrations. Those are the words from Moomin Mama's Dictionary of Outlandish Words, which she threw into the hobgoblin's hat, and magic happened, and they all began crawling around the house. Moomins hibernate during the winter, and this book begins at the very early spring, when Moomintroll wakes and finds Snufkin. So I shall read that to you while we watch these watercolours slowly swirl together and dry, and perhaps I'll give them a little help. Chapter 1, in which Moomintroll, Snufkin and Sniff find the hobgoblin's hat. How 5 small clouds unexpectedly appear, and how the Himulin finds himself a new hobby. One spring morning at 4 o'clock, the first cuckoo arrived in the Valley of the Moomins. He perched on the blue roof of Moomin House and cuckooed 8 times. Rather hoarsely, to be sure, for it was still a bit early in the spring. Then he flew away to the east. Moomintroll woke up and lay a long time looking at the ceiling before he realized where he was. He had slept 100 nights and 100 days, and his dreams still thronged about his head, trying to coax him back to sleep. But as he was wriggling around trying to find a cozy new spot to sleep, he caught sight of something that made him quite wide awake. Snufkin's bed was empty. Moomintroll sat up. Yes, Snufkin's hat had gone too. Goodness gracious me, he said, tiptoeing to the open window. Aha! Snufkin had been using the rope ladder. Moomintroll scrambled over the windowsill and climbed cautiously down on his short legs. He could see Snufkin's footprints plainly on the wet earth, wandering here and there, and rather difficult to follow until suddenly they did a long jump and crossed over themselves. He must have been very happy, decided Moomintroll. He did his somersault here, that's clear enough. Suddenly, Moomintroll lifted his nose and listened. Far away, Snufkin was playing his gayest song. All small beasts should have bows in their tails, and Moomintroll began to run towards the music. on Snufkin, who was sitting on the bridge with his legs dangling over the water. His old hat pulled down over his ears. "Hello," said Moomintroll, sitting down beside him. "Hello to you," said Snufkin, and went on playing. The sun was up now, and it shone straight into their eyes, making them blink. They sat swinging their legs over the running water, feeling happy and carefree. They had had many strange adventures on this river, and had brought home many new friends. Moomintroll's mother and father always welcomed all their friends in the same quiet way, just adding another bed and putting another leaf in the dining room table. And so Moomin House was rather full, a place where everyone did what they liked and seldom worried about tomorrow. Very often unexpected and disturbing things used to happen, but nobody ever had time to be bored, and that is always a good thing. When Snufkin came to the last verse of his spring song, he put his mouth organ in his pocket and said, "Is Sniff awake yet?" "I don't think so," answered Moomintroll. "He always sleeps a week longer than the others." "Then we must certainly wake him up," said Snufkin as he jumped down. "We must do something special today because it's going to be fine." So Moomintroll made their secret signal under Sniff's window. 3 ordinary whistles first, and then a long one through his paws, and it meant there's something doing. They heard Sniff stop snoring, but nothing moved up above. "Once more," said Snufkin, and they signaled even louder than before. Then the window banged open. "I'm asleep," shouted a cross voice. "Come on down, and don't be angry," said Snufkin. "We're going to do something very special." Then Sniff smoothed out his sleep-crinkled ears and clambered down the rope ladder. I should perhaps mention that they had rope ladders under all of the windows because it took so long to use the stairs. It certainly promised to be a fine day. Everywhere befuddled little creatures just woken from their long winter sleep poked about rediscovering old haunts and busied themselves airing clothes, brushing out their moustaches, and getting their houses ready for spring. Many were building new homes, and I am afraid some were quarreling. You can wake up in a very bad temper after such a long sleep. The spirits that haunted the trees sat combing their long hair, and on the north side of the tree trunks, baby mice dug tunnels amongst the snowflakes. "Happy spring," said an elderly earthworm. "And how was the winter with you?" "Very nice, thank you," said Moomintroll. "Did you sleep well, sir?" "Fine," said the worm. "Remember me to your father and mother." So they walked on, talking to a lot of people in this way. But the higher up the hill they went, the less people there were, and at last they only saw 1 or 2 mother mice sniffing around and spring cleaning. It was wet everywhere. "Ugh, how nasty," said Moomintroll, picking his way gingerly through the melting snow. "So much snow is never good for a Moomin. Mother said so," and he sneezed. "Listen, Moomintroll," said Snufkin. "I have an idea. What about going to the top of the mountain and making a pile of stones to show that we were the first to get there?" "Yes, let's," said Sniff, and set off at once so as to get there before the others. When they reached the top, the March wind gamboled around them, and the blue distance lay at their feet. To the west was the sea. To the east the river looped moved round the lonely mountains. To the north, the great forest spread its green carpet, and to the south, the smoke rose from Moomintroll's chimney, for Moomin Mama was cooking the breakfast. But Sniff saw none of these things, because on top of the mountain lay a hat, a tall, black hat. "Someone has been here before," he said. Moomintroll picked up the hat and looked at it. "It's a rarey hat," he said. "Perhaps it will fit you, Snufkin." "No, no," said Snufkin, who loved his old green hat. "It's much too new. Perhaps Father would like it," mused Moomintroll. "Well, anyway, we'll take it with us," said Sniff. "But now I want to go home. I'm dying for some breakfast, aren't you?" "I should just say I am," said Snufkin. And that was how they found the hobgoblin's hat. They took it home with them without guessing for one moment that this would cast a spell on the Valley of the Moomins, and that before long they would all see strange things. And that is how spring came about in Moomin Valley one year. Let's check on our strange watercolor plant. We have all kinds of water patterns, the drops, and now I'm going to use some little colored pencils to put some details on our colourful spring plant. Imagine hibernating the winter like the Moomins, and waking up to see the world coming out of the winter slumber. And all of the fabulous colors, the crazy colors. summer to happen. Let's thank our patrons. Pirate Carrie, Carman, David M. Romulus, Ignoratio. Thank you everyone for watching and supporting the study. Have a very relaxing and peaceful day. Be good to yourself.